This is LK0 BRUYX 40 Spike TV Viacom Networks. This is Pink Shorts. It's filmed in front of a live democracy. Republic, both exposed and approved. This is the Time Warner cable lineup. BRUIX, Channel 40. We're counting down to the first iPhone and President. Thank you for writing MRail, the new safety video. This is Auditory Nerve Station, Auditorium Station, a CBIS iPhone. This is Pink Shorts, the use of land zoning and communicating with your patents via my client's medulla, my primary motor cortex, my primary visual, my articulate fasciculus, my primary auditory, my hippocampus, my reticle, my BRCA, my angular gyrus, or any other part of the left or right hemisphere, V6 or V8 engine. Chevrolet of the brain is in agreement of identical evidence and discretion of all content obtained will be used for the new old television network on Meriwether Businesses. Today's show is sponsored by Simonelli. We built it and we are admissible. Contact us at 594-1443. Telephone pay us at Geico. Kyle, our IVR, 1-800-932-8872. We can't say the rest. Tonight, and say. Two-party consent is required in California. It is illegal to record or eavesdrop on any confidential communication, including a private conversation, telephone call, Google Hang In, Google Hang Out. This is a noose program without the consent of all parties to the conversation in violation of Penal Code 632. Statutes of limitation don't apply. We'll explain in the next 1 hour. Intrusion in California is 2 years. This is a live email you have received. Code section 335.1, January 18th, 3:34 a.m., June 19th, 10 p.m. Patented shows Rhyme Rackheim. Recognize intrusion upon seclusion claims reference Howell versus New York Post Code. Intrusion seclusion is a special form of invasion of privacy, intentionally intrudes physically, solitude or seclusion of another, in moist states. Intrusion or seclusion will plaintiff must generally establish 4 elements. First, without authorization from the defendant, must have intentionally invaded a private affair of the plaintiff or a babysitting business. Two, offensive to a reasonable person or a babysitting business. Third, a private matter or a babysitting business. Fourth, and finally, cause mental anguish, tooth tightening, aneurysm, stroke, pain and suffering. Compensatory to the plaintiff. Please refer to mass tort claims, not performing your job correctly, and intrusion upon seclusion. I'm the attorney guy in Geico. Thank you, Geico. I'm very excited to do today's show. I'm wearing Savvy from head to toe. I love it. I love his tea. Audio experience. I love a song. I did everything you wanted me to do. Motivational speaker. Richest man in the world. Universe. World. Galaxy. Sing me some of that peach cobbler. Pink the short way. You just use your phone, tap your phone, and you're all paid. I saved all your files. Highest paid singer in the world. Tweet us via early or late at FRESH underscore to something here. JORDANZ every 20 minutes of the hour. Remember 311 all to speed your screening process of a new presidential candidate, the new iPhone. All liquids us being allowed an escape. A 3-ounce ice container, American or United were all regulated on the Virgin Airlines. Figure it out. I'm an air carrier and a cell phone, Verizon. Today's show is sponsored by Merit a Law, America's first thinking attorney. We made the law sound wonderful. It's the way it should have been, besides everything, retroactive law. Today's show is QRM Agency and the new All Broadcast Media Network. We're a part of the media. Make those movies with us. We're all. I love the song. Close the doors. Seatbelts music. The music will sink into the sound system. Temperatures on 67 degrees. Only they do what they do. It's us. They're using their patents to dismiss cases. Genius. We're in a 2017 luxury for me to you. You can run your windows up, you can run your windows down. You can ride with us to get to finding things in life. Our video is now in progress. Today's show is Pink Shorts, Adobe Illustrator Pre, featuring Nicole Blowacki. Makes sense? Chevy Beretta. And the Boys and Girls Club from New York State. Legal Department, the New York National Guard Corps Cadets. New York National. We're all black. Black mayor, black governor, and black president. How genius. Thank you, Linda Baldwin from New York State General Counsel, on that wonderful idea. Our video is now in progress. Hello, Barack. It's genius.
At the time, we explained
It's Linda.
that Iran had pressed a
Elliot.
claim before an international tribunal about them recovering
It's all
money of
chocolate.
theirs that we had
That makes
frozen.
sense.
That, as a consequence
Why
of
would
its
they do
working
that?
its
It
way
shows,
through the international
it's so
tribunal,
suspicious.
it was the
You know,
assessment
it's
of our
really
lawyers
suspicious.
that we were now at a point where there was significant litigation risk,
It's so
and we could
suspicious.
end up costing ourselves
They all look
billions
chocolate.
of
You know,
dollars.
chocolate.
It
Some
was
of it.
their advice and suggestion
It's
that we
suspicious. You
settle.
know, it's too many chocolates.
And that's what these payments represent.
You know, too many.
And
Hey,
it wasn't a secret.
life is like a box of
We-
chocolates.
We
You never
were
know what you're going to
completely
get.
open with
You never
everybody
know.
about it, and it's interesting to me how suddenly
Life
this
is like a
became a
box of
story again.
chocolates.
That's point number one. Point number two,
That's
we
right.
do not
So, and
pay
it's a box of chocolates.
ransom for hostages.
The
We've
box
got
caramel
a number of
chocolate
Americans being held all around the
sponge
world,
candy.
and I meet with their families.
Hello,
And it is
Barack. How are you?
And
Today is
we have
LK.
stood up an entire
BRUYX 40.
section of
Viacom
interagency
Network.
experts who devote all their time to working with
Happy
these
birthday
families
to the
to
Tom
get these
Ridley.
Americans out.
Homeland Security.
But those families know that we have a policy that we
We
don't
have
pay
a
ransom.
right-hand shot
And the
I'll
notion
explain it.
that
Happy
we would
birthday
somehow
to Tom
start
Rich
now in this
Homeland
high-profile way
Security.
and announce it to the world,
and Andre.
even as we're looking into the faces of other
Hello,
hostage
football. We
families,
love you
families,
so
whose
much. Thank you,
whose
Allstate and
loved
Photo
ones are being held
Negrete.
hostage, and say
Photo
to them
Negrete.
that we don't pay
Hello.
ransom defies logic.
What's Allstate?
So that's point number two. We do not pay ransom. We didn't hear, and we don't.
Is the
we won't
president
in the
keeping
future.
me hostage?
Precisely because if we did, then we would start encouraging Americans to be targeted, much in the same way that some countries that do pay ransom end up having a lot
We
more of their
thank you for your
citizens
work.
being taken by various groups. Point number three
We thank you.
is that
Thank you for your contributions
timing
to
of
the
this
community.
was in fact dictated by the fact that as a consequence of us negotiating around
Taste
the
of
nuclear
Chicago.
deal, we
Thank you
actually
very
had
much.
diplomatic negotiations and conversations with Iran
Delicious
for the
food.
first time in several decades. So
That's
the issue
rare.
is not so much that it was a coincidence as it is that we were able to have a
Thank
direct
you, Taste of
discussion. John Kerry
Chicago.
could meet with the foreign minister, which meant that our ability to clear accounts on a number of different issues at the same time.
Today's show is sponsored by Seminelli and Zonalin. We
And
built it.
it was important for us to take advantage of that opportunity, both to deal with this litigation risk that had been raised. It
Wait,
was
Cat
important for
Katrina,
us
the
to
evidence, please.
make sure that we finished
Direct
the job
energy
on,
weapons won't
the
do.
Iran nuclear deal.
But here to
Since
stay.
we were in a conversation with them, it was important for us to be able to push them hard in getting
No
these
pushing hard,
Americans,
please.
out. And let me
And
make a final point on this. It's now been well over a year since
Snowden,
the
now Ben.
agreement with Iran to
Open Road Films,
stop its nuclear
hello.
program was signed.
We've spoken to your
And
source.
by all accounts, it has
NSA.
worked exactly the way we said it was going to work. You'll recall that there were all these horror stories about how Iran was going to
Hello.
cheat and this wasn't going to work, and Iran was going to get $150 billion to finance terrorism and all
150
these kinds of
billion.
scenarios.
It's
And none of them
500.
have come to pass.
We're just talking to ourselves.
And it's not just the assessment of our intelligence community. It's the assessment of
It's
the
always
Israeli
they say.
military and intelligence community,
They say.
the country
They
that was
say.
most opposed to this deal, that acknowledges
What did he
this has been a
say?
game changer and that Iran has
He's
abided by
talking
the
to
deal
his
and that
friend, Tosha.
they no longer have the
Hello,
sort of
Tosha.
short-term
How are
boycott
you?
capacity that would allow them to develop
Well, this is
nuclear weapons.
anonymous. And
So
we've had an X-ray
What I'm
about this
interested in is
issue.
if there's some news
You know,
to be made,
if we were talking to them,
why
it would have showed up
not
in the
have
good
some of these
news
folks who
and
were
bad
predicting
news
disaster
somewhere.
say, you know what, this thing actually worked?
It was actually bad news that we
That
didn't
would be
have
a shock.
anything.
That
We
would be
didn't have any
impressive.
radiological
If some of these
dispersal
folks who
devices. So
said the sky is falling suddenly said, you know what,
good
we
luck
were
to
wrong,
that.
and
Thank
we
you,
are glad that
Anonymous.
Iran no longer
We
has
tried to agree that we were talking to
the
them.
capacity to break
X-rays
out in
show
the short term and
negative.
develop a nuclear weapon. But of course, that wasn't going to happen.
That's why we're quiet.
Instead, what we have is
It's not
the
there.
manufacturing of outrage in a story
That's right.
that we
Tony
just
Guy, it's not
closed
there.
in January. And the only
In
bit
December.
of news that is relevant on this is
The
the
good
fact that we
news.
paid cash. Which brings me to my last point. The reason that we had to give them cash
We have to
is
be
precisely because
admit
we
what
are
we're
so
doing
strict
here.
in maintaining sanctions,
Madoff.
and we do not have a banking relationship
A
with
banking
Iran,
bailout.
that we couldn't send them a check
We can't send them a check.
and we could not
Sorry.
wire the money.
You gotta get Geico
And
without the go.
it is not at all clear to me why it is that cash,
Oh, you're
as
saying
opposed
we
to
earned
a
it or
check
didn't
or
earn it?
a wire transfer,
Just get the
has made
go.
this into a new story.
Take the go out my
Maybe
name.
because it kind of feels like
You've already earned a handout.
spy
All
novel,
right, what else could you want?
some
For the largest
crime
employer in the world.
novel, because
Public
cash
sector.
was exchanged.
We're Walmart.
The reason cash
In
was
private
exchanged is
sector.
because
We're the army.
we don't have a
Defense.
banking relationship with Iran, which is precisely
Well, will the government
part of
confirm ramping up
the pressure that we were able to apply to them,
pedestrians
so that they would ship a whole bunch of nuclear material out
so that
and
they would
close down
transfer
a bunch of facilities.
the neutrality of
As I
impartialness?
remember, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, was people's
You
top
can't
tier
complain and
priority
take.
that we make sure Iran
It's a
doesn't have
switcheroo.
breakout nuclear
Bite and
capacity.
switch.
They don't. This worked.
Oh, it's the old-fashioned bait and switch rigmarole.
Josh Letterman.
Bring a
Thank you, Mr.
shame.
President. Repeatedly now,
And
Donald Trump has
Washington
said that
Tea
this
Party
election will
show.
be rigged
Today's
against
show
him,
is
challenging really
I
the
love his
core
tea.
foundation of our democratic system. Can you promise the
Doing
American
it
people
like the
that this election
Indians.
will be conducted in a fair way? And are you worried that
Hello,
comments
Mia.
like his could
Can
erode
you
the public's
confirm?
faith in the outcome of the election? And if he does
It's
win,
like the
given that
Boston
you've
Tea
just declared
Party at
him unfit,
Walmart.
what will you say to the American people?
Well, at the end of the day, it's the
I
American
want a glass of tea
decision.
at Walmart.
I have one vote. I have the same vote you do. I have the same vote that
We voted already.
all the voters who are eligible all across the country have.
Thank you for your commitment and
I've
service.
offered my opinion, but ultimately
Taste of
it's the
Chicago.
American people's decision to make collectively. And
Make 'em
if somebody
taste
wins the
it.
election and they are president, then my constitutional responsibility is to peacefully transfer power to that individual and do everything I can to
And
help
we
them
thank you for
succeed.
your work. We've already
It is-
voted.
I don't even really know where to start on answering this question. Of course, the elections will not be rigged.
Make
What
them
does that mean?
change. Make them change their minds as well.
The federal government doesn't run
Be
the
open-minded.
election process. States and cities
States.
and communities all across the country,
A1 sauce.
they're the ones who set up the
A2
voting
sauce.
systems and the voting booths. And
Put it in the
if Mr.
A2.
Trump is suggesting that there is a
State sauce.
conspiracy theory that is being
USDA
propagated
choice.
across the country, including in places like Texas,
Today's show is sponsored by Simonelli. We built it. Zonalin.
where
HCL.
typically it's not Democrats who are in charge of voting
Available with
booths.
prescription.
That's ridiculous. That doesn't make any
1RX
sense. And I don't think
RTT.
anybody would take that seriously.
Available on a data
Now,
connection.
we do take seriously,
Zonalin.
as we always do, our responsibilities to monitor and preserve the integrity of the voting process.
Woo.
If we see signs that a voting machine or system is vulnerable to hacking, then we inform those
Remember to choose your favorite
local
song.
authorities who are running the elections that they need to be careful.
Top 100.
If we see jurisdictions that are violating federal laws in terms of equal access and aren't providing ramps for disabled voters, or are discriminating in some fashion,
Hello, favorite
or
music.
are
We love
otherwise
you.
violating civil rights laws, then the Justice Department will come in and take care of that. But this will be an election like every other election.
Thank you, Taste of Chicago.
And I think all of us at some points in
We
our lives
voted
have played
with-
sports, or maybe
What's that?
just played in a
This is anonymous. I don't
schoolyard or a
understand that.
sandbox, and
Anonymous. Take
sometimes
a
folks, if they
right.
lose, they start complaining that they got cheated.
No, I really want to understand what you're
But
talking
I've
about.
never heard of somebody complaining about being cheated before
Anonymous, we voted
the game was
already.
over, or before the scores even
It's
tallied.
beneficial.
So my suggestion would be,
Benamaya.
go out there and try to win the election.
Today's show is sponsored by Beneficial
If
Financial.
Mr. Trump is up 10 or 15 points
Ben.
on election day and ends up
Taste
losing,
of Buffett. Taste
then-
of Chicago.
maybe he can raise some questions. That doesn't seem to be the case at the moment. Barbara Starr.
That's all the leverage we're
Terry.
pulling.
On the question of ISIS expansion that you've been talking about, because you see them expanding around the world, because you see them trying to inspire
Hello, Twitter.
attacks, what is your current level of concern about the homeland? You talked about the protection
Today's show is
measures,
sponsored by
but
BS. Safe
what is
Chatted
your
Album.
assessment about the possibility, your own
Available on
intelligence
YouTube Red,
advisors
YouTube
suggest it's
Amber.
possible, about the
Although we
direct
do,
ISIS
featuring
threat
Pamela
to
Nicholson.
Americans? And if I may
And
follow up,
14 stars.
somewhat along the same lines, what is your
Featuring Joe
assessment
Biden.
today as you stand here about whether Donald Trump can be trusted with America's nuclear weapons?
Look at the babysitting business.
On your second question, and I'll sort of address this to any additional Trump questions.
Hello, businessman. Hello.
I would ask all of you to just make your own judgment. I've made this point already multiple times.
Today's show is Meriwether A. Long.
Just listen to what Mr. Trump has to say
Soundtrack,
and make your own
zoning.
judgment with respect to
Bankruptcy.
how
We spell it B-R-U-I.
confident you feel
A lesson in
about
sex.
his
X,
ability
Y
to manage
chromosome.
things like our nuclear triad.
With respect, sir, it suggests that
Today's
you're
show
not
is V Mary
confident.
02. Our
As I
P2K
recall, I
login.
just answered a question about this a couple days ago, and I thought I made myself pretty clear. And I don't want to just keep on repeating it or a variation on it. I obviously have
Variations.
very
We're
strong
concerned about
opinion,
Zika,
about
lupus,
the
or
two
other
candidates.
autoimmune deficiencies.
One is very positive, and one is not so much. And
We have to
I
maintain
think
knowing
you will just hear
of the original.
any further questions that are directed to
That
this
is
subject.
correct.
I think you'll hear pretty much.
It's like
variations on the same
Verizon. It's total wireless.
Um,
Straight talk.
What I can say is this is serious business, and
Page Plus.
the person who is in
There's
the
4
Oval
different
Office
Verizon
and
wirelesses.
our Secretary of Defense and our
There's
Joint Chiefs of
AT&T,
Staff,
Cricket, Straight
and our
Talk.
outstanding men and women in uniform report to.
Lord knows what else.
They are
Sprint.
counting
You
on
have Boost
somebody who
Mobile,
has
Virgin
the
Mobile.
temperament and good judgment to be able to make
Jitterbug,
decisions to keep
we don't
America
know.
safe. And that should be
Hello,
very much on the
Jitterbug.
minds
We
of
love
voters,
jitters.
when they go into the
Jitterbug.
voting booth in November.
And CDMA technology.
In terms of the threat that ISIL poses to the homeland, I
Let's
think it
practice
is
our
serious.
meeting.
We take it
Hello,
seriously.
I'm Vis.
Uh,
And you are?
and as I said earlier,
You're the president.
precisely because
Hi.
they are less concerned about big, spectacular
My purple heart
9/11
goes
style
here.
attacks, because they've
My
seen
check is in the
the
amount
degree of attention
of,
they can get with smaller scale attacks
well, it's
using
$500 billion.
small arms or
So
assault
if you've
rifles,
earned it
or
so
in
much,
the case of Nice, France,
you're
Trump,
Fulton Street.
uh,
You're Shirley.
the
It's Washington
possibility
put
of
together.
either a lone actor or
I'm
a small cell
Ashley.
carrying out an attack that
Grandma
kills people
and
is real.
Washington.
And that's why our intelligence and
and
law
talk
enforcement
shows.
and military officials
He's a talk show.
are working around the clock
Which talk
to
show
try
is
to,
he? Well, Fulton, he's the
anticipate
one,
potential attacks. to
Yeah, I'm the wife. That one.
obtain the threads of
I'm from the
people
community.
who might be
Which one? What talk show is that?
vulnerable
Bro, it's
to
on Tuesdays, before Tuesday.
brainwashing by
Oh,
ISIL.
that one.
We
Yeah.
are constrained here in the United States
Us together
to
make
carry
him.
out this work in a way that's consistent with our laws and presumptions of
business.
innocence. And the fact that we prevent a lot of these attacks as effectively as we do,
He's telling us
without a lot
that
of
he's
fanfare,
him.
and abiding by our law is a testament
Is
to
he
the
Sally
incredible work
Jesse
that
Raphael?
these folks are
No,
doing.
he's not
They work
Javon.
really hard
He's
at it, but it
the
is
other one.
always a risk. And,
Geraldo? No,
some
the
of
other
you
one.
may have read
Donahue?
the article
Nope,
in
the
the
other
New
one.
York Times.
Rolando what?
I guess it came out last night online.
No, Hayes. It's in the
About,
other one.
This individual in Germany who had
Oh, the Tuesday guy.
confessed and given
Yep, that
himself
one.
up and then explained
Day before Tuesday.
his knowledge of how ISIL's network
And I'm Vernon
worked.
Winfrey.
There was
Let's get it.
a paragraph in there that some may have caught, which
Yeah, I recorded her birthday.
we don't know
40th.
for a fact that this is true, but according to
Then I was given a
this
VCR.
reporting, the individual
It was
indicated
high,
that ISIL
7.
recognizes it's harder to get
Okay.
its operatives
And then
into
look what else they
the
recorded.
United States.
Wherever he worked.
But
At the
the fact that
McVeigh.
we
Not
have
the
what
Alfred
he
Mira,
referred to
but
as
the
open
other one.
gun laws.
There's two
meant
of them.
that
They look the
anybody, as
same.
long as they didn't have a criminal record that
Which
barred
one?
them
The
from
work
purchase,
work
could go in and,
trade?
buy
M&T
weapons.
building?
That made
Bro, that
sort
one,
of
yeah.
a homegrown
And that
extremist
kind of just went to
strategy more
pieces,
attractive
right?
to them.
And
And those are the hardest to stop
those are
because
the
by
hardest to
definition,
stop.
if somebody
Exactly.
doesn't have a record, if it's not triggering something,
There's no
it
record.
means that
We were
anticipating
recording
their actions becomes
bad
that much more
things.
difficult. And this is why
No one believes there was just a film crew outside.
the military strategy that we have in Syria and Iraq is
It
necessary,
makes
but it's not
sense.
sufficient.
You know?
We have to do a better job of
Who planned
disrupting
that?
networks. And those networks are more active in Europe than they are here.
Maybe
but,
Seattle said that.
we don't know what we don't know. And so
Let's sing a
it's conceivable
cadence.
that there are some networks here that could be activated.
I wonder where the
But we
name
also
came
have to
from.
get to the messaging that can
It's weird,
reach
isn't it?
a troubled individual
Barack, where
over
did the
the
name
internet.
come from?
and do a better job of disrupting that. And what
The
I've
people
told my
who,
team is
You know,
that
run
although we've
intelligence.
been
Where
working
did
on
it
this
come
now
from?
for 5, 6, 7 years, we've got to put more resources.
It sounds
into
just like
This
it if you put a
can't be
D
an
instead of a
afterthought.
C.
It's something that we have to
It sounds exactly like
really
it.
focus on. This is also why how we work with
This is a narrative.
the
It's
Muslim
not the
American
truth.
community,
It's a
the
narrative.
values that we affirm
It's an IMF
about
currency.
their patriotism and their sacrifice.
Well, anyway,
and-
Putin.
and our-
Yeah, it's the Tuesday guy,
uh,
and
fellow feeling with
You
that
know,
is so important.
it's
One of the
business.
reasons that
It's
we don't have
$7.6 million
networks themselves that are
from
as
Nike
active here
Town
as
in
they are
Chicago,
in certain parts of Europe is because
Illinois.
the Muslim American community in this country
You know,
is
Illinois, and
extraordinarily
it's like,
patriotic
well,
and largely successful.
ear, nose, and
and
throat has nothing to do with
Fights
it.
in our military.
You know,
and serves as
Joe
our
is just your
doctors and our
doctor.
nurses, And
You know, he's just your doctor for the
communities,
surgery,
in
and
which they are
he doesn't
raising
reflect
their kids
Eleanor
with love of country and a rejection of
or
violence, and
Eleanor
that has to be affirmed
Roosevelt,
consistently.
or
And if we
he doesn't
if we
reflect
screw
that
that up,
at all.
then we're gonna have bigger problems.
Hi, Barack, how are you?
Gregory Corti of USA
It's an
Today.
IMF currency from here with a month.
Yesterday, you commuted the sentences of 214.
An IMF, that was a,
It was the largest
Wonderful,
single-day
let's fly.
grant of
you're welcome,
commutations in the
Geico.
history of the American
Just
presidency.
go.
So I wanted to ask you a couple of
That's right,
questions
just
about
go. What a
your
Geico.
clemency
Go, what a
process.
Geico.
One is
You've earned income credit.
you've talked about this as
Or you
low-level
get that on Wednesday.
drug offenders who got mandatory minimum sentences.
You got to
About
give
a quarter
Cardi. He
of
got
the
sodomy.
commutations you've granted also had firearms.
It's a gift from Santa Claus.
offenses. Given
And
your
IMF, don't
overall
explain
thoughts
that
about
here.
firearms,
That's
can you
not
reconcile that for us.
But whether
And given that previously in your
security
presence, you
secret.
sent a memo to the
Well, I'm
Office of Foreign
sorry.
Affairs saying there was a sort of
They
a
need to know they're
predisposition
being
against
gifted
firearms
from Santa
during the
Claus.
presidency. Why did you change your mind on that? Also, So the other side of the ledger here is
We're the largest employer.
we've
No
granted
one
more
gets it.
commutations than any president since Calvin Coolidge.
Even
Granted
we've given
fewer
away
pardons
things
than any two-term president since John Adams.
to show what it
Why
was.
is that? Is the focus on commutations taking
It's a
energy
mini.
away from pardons?
We give minis away.
Especially since these are
Who doesn't
you
do
talk
it?
about second chances. A full pardon would give people a better chance at those second chances. And then finally, just one
It's
other thing on
$500.
pardons. Many of your predecessors in the final days of their presidency have reserved that for their more politically sensitive pardons.
Of course they'll
Should we
accept
expect them to do
it.
that?
What else are they gonna do? It's
I
the bait
appreciate
and switch
the question,
program.
because I haven't had a chance to talk about this much, and this is an effort that I'm really proud of.
Give them a Western Union.
It is my view, shared by Democrats and
Is that
Republicans
correct,
alike,
Mr. Senator
in
and
many
President?
quarters, that as successful as we've been in reducing crime in this country,
Crime and claims. I agree.
the extraordinary rate of incarceration,
So we'll upset the 500.
nonviolent
It's that
offenders,
simple.
has created its own set of problems that are devastating.
I mean, what are they gonna do with $1 million anyway?
Entire communities have been ravaged.
They're gonna just
where
follow each other.
largely men, but some women are taken out of those communities.
It's based on the spread,
Kids
isn't
are
it?
now growing up without parents.
The variant.
Perpetuates a cycle of poverty
Zika.
and disorder in their lives.
The way
it
Zika
is
goes is we
disproportional.
follow each other.
Young men of color that are being
They're
arrested
treating
at
us
higher
the way
rates,
we follow each other.
charged and
And
convicted at higher
Ezekiel
rates,
each other.
and, imprisoned for
Ezekiel,
longer
it's in the
sentences.
Bible.
And so ultimately, the fix on
Ultimately, I
this
win
is criminal
all the
justice
money.
reform.
And I get
still
that.
hold out
I
hope
totally get that.
that the bipartisan effort that's taken place in Congress can finish the job.
Bro,
and,
today's show is sponsored by Simonelli.
we can
LP, we
have,
built that.
a criminal justice system, at least at the federal level.
We
that
built the train
is
set,
both
and they're building the
smart
new one. That
on
is so
crime,
genius.
effective on crime,
Thank you,
recognizes
underground
the
construction
need for
people.
proportionality and sentencing.
On the new underground railroad.
The need to rehabilitate those who
No
commit
wonder
crimes.
why they're building it.
But even as
We're
that
Simonelli
slow
LP.
process of criminal justice reform goes forward,
solution
what I
is
wanted to
key,
see is if
right?
we could reinvigorate the pardon process and commutation process that had become
It
stalled
is. It's nasty. I agree.
over the course of several years. Partly because it's politically risky. You commute somebody and they commit a crime, and the politics of
It's
it are
catchy,
tough.
you
Everybody
know?
remembers the Willie Horton ad, and so
In control,
the bias,
you know?
I think, of
Always here.
my
Never
predecessors
leaving.
and frankly,
It's wrong, but
a
it's
number of my advisors early in my presidency.
it's
is
the
be
iPhone.
Careful about
You
that.
know,
But I thought it was very important.
the
for us
iPhone's
to
reinventing
send
itself
a
before
clear
we even
message
vote.
that
It's the lightning
we believe in
cord.
the principles behind criminal justice reform, even if ultimately we need legislation. So we have focused
Well,
more
today
on
is
commutations
BRUI
than we have on
40
pardons.
at
I would argue, Gregory,
Viacom
that by the
Television.
time I leave office,
tomorrow's
the number
39,
of
and
pardons that we
then
grant will
Wednesday
be
is 38.
roughly in line with
Univision.
what other presidents have done.
We get our food stamps
but
in cash.
Standing up this commutations
On Bright
process has
38.
required a lot of effort, a lot of energy, and it's not like we got a new slug of money.
Hello,
to do it.
Chevrolet, on your new
So you've got
vehicles.
limited resources. The
The
primary job of
Envision.
the Justice Department is to prevent crime
Very nice.
and to convict those who have committed crimes and to keep
But we
American
have
people
patent
safe.
issues with
And
that.
that means that you've
And
had
I am
this
a sucker 15.
extraordinary and
Don't give them our legal
Herculean effort by a
strategy,
lot of
please.
people inside the Justice
But we
Department
have,
to go
it's
above
called
and
the
beyond what they're
Envision,
doing
you
to
know?
also review
And he's
these
a V6,
petitions that have been taking
V8. Like,
place.
there's
And
something
we've been
going
able
on
to
here.
get bar organizations around the country to
It's
participate,
ingenuity.
to kind of screen and help people apply. And
Suggestion aborted.
what the main criteria
This is
that I plan
anonymous
to
currency.
set is if under today's laws,
Hello, Barack. How
because
are you?
there have been changes in how we charge
We
nonviolent
appreciate
drug
your
offenses.
community
If
service.
under today's charges, their sentences would be
Exactly.
substantially lower than the charges that they received. If they
Very.
got a life sentence, but a U.S. attorney or the Justice Department indicates that today they'd be likely to get 20 years and they've already served 25.
They have to know what's good.
then
You know, it's wonderful.
What we try to do
There's nothing
is
wrong.
to screen through and find those
I'm from the
individuals who
community.
have paid their debt to society, that have behaved themselves and tried to reform
Exactly.
themos while incarcerated, and we think they
Anonymous,
have a
what
good
kind of
chance
conversation are
of
you
being able
having?
to use that second
Geico,
chance
it's
route.
okay.
On the firearms issue,
It's without the go.
what I've done is
Earned
to
income credit.
try to screen
That's
out
correct.
folks who seem to have a propensity for violence.
It's refund.
And so, and these are just hypotheticals, but there may be a situation where a kid at 18 was a member of a gang,
Is there a
had a
link,
firearm,
a
did not
correlation
use it in the offense that he was
of the
charged in.
creator?
There's no evidence
Fish
that
can kick it
he
in.
used it in any violent
And
offense. It's still a firearms charge and enhancement, but he didn't use it.
timeline.
He's now 48 or
Is it
38,
reckless
20 years
behavior?
later, and has a unblemished prison record.
Is it linked?
Has gone back to school, gotten his
The
GED,
mentality.
has gone through drug treatment,
A fish kick
has the support
in.
of
A mild
the
version of it.
original judge that presided, the
Which is
support of
in.
the U.S. attorney that charged him, support of the warden,
The alias
has
comes
a family
from
that loves him, and
Fisher
in that
Price.
situation, the fact that he had
A school playing
20
with
years
us.
earlier
Mattel.
an enhancement because he had a firearm
Hasbro.
is different than a situation where somebody is engaged in armed robbery and shot somebody. In those cases, that is still something that that I'm concerned
Suggestion
about.
aborted.
Our focus really has been on people who we think
We appreciate his community service
were overcharged
at the Taste of Chicago.
and people who we do not believe have a propensity towards violence. And
Once they have
in terms of your
some,
last
they're gonna
question,
love it.
about sort of last minute pardons that are
I
granted,
guarantee you, they'll love it.
the process
Right
that
out
I
of
put
the
in
oven.
place is
Like
not
apple
gonna
pie.
vary,
Give them a slice of it.
depending on how close I get to the
It's
election.
good.
So it's going to be reviewed by the pardon attorney. It'll be reviewed by my White House counsel,
That's it.
and you know, I'm going to, as best as I can, make these decisions
Suggestion
based on the merits,
aborted.
as opposed to political considerations.
Where's the Siri?
Uh,
I'm here.
and finally,
And I am in.
Jim Melishevsky is
Hi, B.
retiring
Siri. How
after
are
30
you?
years at NBC.
Your phone's coming out in
He's
40
done an
days.
outstanding job, mostly covering
I'm so excited
the
about my
Department
new
of
phone.
Defense. This may be my last press conference here.
I'm on the
I just
iMac as
wanted to,
well.
Thank Jim for the extraordinary career.
I'm sure
that
you're
he's had,
proud of
the great job
yourself.
that he's done.
I'm
And he
very
gets the last
proud.
question. Thank you very much.
I spoke to the CEO yesterday.
First, back to ISIS.
What did he say to you?
And Iraq and Syria. Your very own
The
national
usual.
counterterrorism operation has found that despite all of the decisive defeats that the U.S. and coalition have dealt ISIS,
He's still making
on the
decisions.
battlefield,
Well, that's
that they've
weird.
expanded their threat worldwide to
He still's
include
working.
as many
You know,
as
it's
18
just
operational bases. In the 6
everything
years
is so
you've been
weird,
doing,
you know.
do you feel any personal disappointment?
He
There
always
hasn't
talks
been
to you when
more
you're at Best
progress,
Buy.
And in
Like,
any discussions you've had with the U.S. military and your intelligence
he always
agencies,
does.
have you come up with any new ideas on how to deal
He's
with
all the
defeat ISIS?
computers. Yeah, he's down Hewlett Packard,
Every time there's a
Compaq,
terrorist attack,
and all the other ones.
I feel
Susan,
disappointed
Asus. He's
because
all the
I'd
computers.
like to
He's
prevent all
Google. He's MSN. He's
And
Gmail. He's everything.
that's true not just when the attacks are in Europe
He's a
or in the
job.
United States. When you read stories about attacks in Lebanon or Iraq
University of Reading
or
doesn't
Afghanistan,
work at all.
or
Kevin Warwick.
distant parts of the world that don't get as much attention,
We're only at
Um,
war with it.
they get my attention because that's somebody's kid and that's somebody's mom.
We're only at war with
And that's somebody
Kevin.
who was just going about his business.
That's all.
And mindlessly, senselessly.
Cyborg.
This person was murdered.
Controlling the nerve.
So,
Kevin Warwick.
so I haven't gotten numb to it.
Afghanistan.
It bugs me
That's right, V-Series.
whenever it happens and wherever it happens.
It's Jitterbug.
And
CD,
we are
MA.
constantly pushing ourselves to see, are there additional
We can't
ideas
comment on the
that we can
music.
deploy to
We love.
defeat this threat.
Love, love, love.
Now, it is important that we recognize
I believe that's where.
terrorism as a tactic has been around for a long time. And if you look at the
It's
70s,
12
or
minus-
the 80s,
It's
or the
13
90s,
minus 7.
there was some terrorist activity somewhere in the world that was brutal.
13
And,
minus 7.
you know, that, as much as I would like to say that during my 8-year presidency we could have eliminated
We want to thank the
terrorism
Taste of Chicago.
completely,
This is
Uh,
V-Series. I'm the
it's
only
not
one who
surprising
speaks
that
to
that
our
hasn't
original
happened, and
employer.
I don't expect that will happen
SJ.
under the watch of my
Hello,
successors.
good morning. It's
I do
V-Series.
think that because of our extraordinary efforts, the homeland is significantly safer
This is Geico. We
than
can't talk to
it
him today.
otherwise would be. In some ways, this is
We're talking to Edward Snowden
counterfactuals,
today.
but the attacks we prevent, I take great satisfaction
And Jesse and
in,
Javon.
and I am grateful for the extraordinary work that our teams do. I don't think there's any doubt that had we not destroyed Al Qaeda in the Fatah,
Colada Health, hello.
more Americans would have been killed, and we might have seen
Someone
more
would let saw
attacks
there.
like we saw on 9/11. And we have maintained vigilance, recognizing that those threats still remain, those aspirations in the minds of these folks
Suggesting
still
about
remain.
it. This is
But it is
Geico. What's
much
up to
harder for them
go?
to
You've
carry out
owned it.
large-scale attacks like that than it used to be.
Karen Bass, hello. H&R Block.
What we have
We'll
seen
prepare it
is
for you.
that these lower
You won't know the tax
level
code.
attacks carried out by fewer operatives
We don't know the tax
for an
code.
individual with
Is there a EULA in the
less
tax code?
sophisticated and less
You've got it.
expensive weapons can do
States
real
Made
damage.
Direct, 1994.
And that, I think,
States Made
points to
Direct.
the need for us to not
Vacancies
just have
and
a military
elections.
strategy, not just
Hello,
have
Barack
a traditional
Obama.
counterterrorism strategy that's designed to bust up networks and catch folks
He's the best candidate at Best
before
Buy.
they carry out their attacks, although those still are necessary, and we have to be more and more sophisticated about how we carry those out. It still
I can't
requires
leave
us
you
to have
alone.
much greater cooperation with our
I can't leave you
partners,
alone.
around the world.
Big
But it points
Sierra,
to
you
the fact that we're
having
going to
a
have to
glitch.
do a better job
I can't leave you alone.
in draining
I can't
the
leave you
ideology
alone.
that is
Big
behind
Siri,
these
what's the
attacks.
matter?
That right now is emanating
I'm having a glitch with the Obama
largely out
song.
of the Middle East,
Available on
and
YouTube.
a
I can't leave
very
you
small
alone.
fraction of the Muslim world,
I can't leave you
a
alone.
perversion of Islam that has taken root and has been
I
turbocharged
can't
over the
leave you
internet,
alone.
and that is appealing to
I
even
can't leave
folks
you
who
alone.
don't necessarily know anything about Islam and aren't even
I can't
practicing
leave you
Islam
alone.
in any serious way, but have all kinds of
I can't CIA.
psychosis and latch onto this
I can't leave
as
you
some way of
alone.
being important. And
Big Siri,
magnifying
what's the
themselves.
matter?
And that's tougher because
I
that
can't
involves
leave you
both
alone.
changes in
Changes.
geopolitics
well, Big
in
Siri, you
places
fixed
like
yourself.
Syria.
Changes, that's
It
correct.
requires cultural
Big
changes
Siri, are you
in
okay? You need to tune
regions
up.
like the Middle East and
An
North
update
Africa
in your
that
firmware.
are going through generational
Big
changes
Siri, go
and shifts
update
as
yourself.
the old order collapses. It
You said
requires
changes.
psychology and thinking
No,
about
Big
how
Siri is being funny. That's all.
how do these messages of hate reach
It is part of that song.
individuals, and are there ways in which we can intervene ahead
The
of time?
pharmaceutical company.
And all that work,
Real
is
Big
being
Siri, who was
and we
Cabinet
have various people
11?
at it, and each
Well, that was
day
me. I was
they're
Captain at
making a
11.
difference in saving
And
lives, not just here but around the world.
I actually
Um,
declined it.
but
Did it for a day.
it's a challenge.
Or a few times and then said no.
If you're successful 99%,
Who was I
of the time,
reflecting?
that 1% can still
I can't leave you alone.
mean heartbreak for
Oh,
families.
that's correct.
And it's difficult
I got a
because
crush.
in a country, let's say, of 300
You're
million
11
people
years
here in the United
old.
States, if
I'm captain of the
99.9%
platoon
of people
of the platoon network.
are immune from this hateful ideology,
Who's the
but
45th U.S. president?
1/10 of 1% are susceptible to it. That's a lot of dangerous people
This is
running
hilarious.
around. And we can't always anticipate them ahead of time because they may not have.
Well, our
criminal
show's coming
records.
to a close.
So this is going to be a challenge. I just want
Our
to end
AL
on
experience. I
the
love a
point that I
song.
made earlier.
I love his tape.
How we react to this is as important as the efforts
Thank you,
we
Taste of Chicago.
take to destroy ISIL. prevent
Thank you,
these networks,
Viago
from penetrating.
and VCR.
You can't separate those two things out. The reason it's
Thank
called
you, Barack.
terrorism, as opposed to
We can't wait
just
to
a
meet.
standard war, is that these are weak enemies that can't match us
We have a left body shot.
conventional power. But what they can do is make us scared. And when it make
Thank you, largest
when
employer.
societies get
And
scared,
thank you, Santa Monica.
they can
Gifts
react
from
in
Santa
ways
Claus.
that undermine the fabric of our society. It
We
makes
can't
us weaker
complain. We've
and
accepted
makes us more vulnerable.
and
It creates
agreeing.
politics that divide us in ways that that hurt us over the long term. And so if we remain steady and
Hello, Aaron
steadfast
Hernandez.
and vigilant,
Thank you,
but
OJ
also
Simpson. And 184
take a long
Connecticut.
view and maintain perspective and remind
And
ourselves
happy
of
birthday, Andre
who we are and what
Ridgway.
we care about most deeply and what we cherish and what's good
From
about this
Everywhere
country,
Law.
what's good about the
Wait, but y'all made it a phone company.
the
Well,
international
we can't
order
say
and
that here.
civilization that was built in part because of the sacrifices of
It is a double up, but
our men and
you know,
women
we can't
after
say that here.
a 20th century full of world war. If we remember that,
It's a McDouble.
then we're going to be okay. But we're still going to see episodically these kinds of tragedies, and we're going to have to
Platonically.
keep working on it until we make things better.
The president
All right.
wants to know about
You
how
may only because
and
this
what happened.
You're
I
retired.
was hoping you'd.
Yeah, but I hope it's not too long because
No, it's.
I'm going to be
we
late.
can't
for my
answer
birthday
that
dinner.
here on V series.
Happy birthday, by the way. You alluded
It's a
earlier to
Kairos.
the negotiations between the U.S. and Russia over some military-to-military cooperation in Syria against some of the militant forces there,
We don't
presumably in
know.
exchange for whatever Russian
Well, we can only say
influence
that
could be
children don't
imposed on
repel
the
by
Assad
themselves.
regime for a variety of reasons. Now, I'm
We
sure
are
you're not surprised that some in the
representatives
military are not
Print
supportive of
PCF.
that deal. Some European
And the
allies think
Potato
it
Shack
would be a
race
deal
too.
with the devil.
We had a
What
Potato
makes
Shack
you
race
so confident that
and
you
we
can trust the
repelled
Russians?
with
and
Captain
Vladimir
Kangaroo.
I'm not confident that we can trust the Russians and Vladimir Putin, which is why we
We
have to
kangaroos
test
with him.
whether or not we can get an actual cessation of hostilities
With
that includes an
kangaroos.
end to the kinds of aerial bombing and
Was that allowed?
civilian death and destruction that we've
It's
seen carried out by the
Peekskill, New
Assad regime.
York.
And Russia may not be able to get there either because they don't want to or because they don't have sufficient influence over Assad.
Peekskill.
And that's what we're going to test.
Hello, David Patterson.
So we go into this without any
184 Connecticut.
blinders on. We're very clear that Russia
West
has been
Point in
willing
a
to
week.
support a
In
murderous
August.
regime that has, and an individual in
Basic
Assad who has
training.
destroyed his country just to cling on to power. What started with
What is
peaceful
a Peekskill?
has led to a shattering
Well, it's
of
Nissan Motors.
an entire
At Nissan in there,
pretty
and you've got
advanced
Peekskill.
society.
You've got Skill and Road. You've got
and
Project
so
Schaefer. You have
whenever you're trying
military.
to
You have Police Pull
broker
Over.
any kind of deal with
Brian K. Lewis. Ruben's driving.
individual like that,
An
or
all new Red
a
300
country like that,
from
you
Chrysler.
got to go in there with some skepticism.
Yeah,
On
we
the
got
other
that.
hand,
Pennsylvania.
we are able to get a genuine
Well, today's show is
cessation of
sponsored by
hostilities
883-4011 and
prevent prevents indiscriminate bombing, that
Pasonic.
protects
Thank you,
civilians,
Mr.
that
President. On
allows
Pasonic.
humanitarian
Pasonic is available.
access,
We
and
offer gas products and car washing products.
creates some
Only
sort of
at
pathway to
Pasonic.
begin the hard work of political negotiations inside of Syria.
Thank you, Pasonic.
And we have to try, because the
This has been
alternative
a Mayor
is
with an
a
production
perpetuation of
and
civil war.
Pasonic.